Welcome, John Jantsch. I'm excited to have John here with me because John is the author of a number of books that have really become modern classics. There's duct tape marketing, there's duct tape selling, there's the referral engine, and now he has his newest book coming out. He's tackling a new subject for him and perhaps for many of you watching, which is search engine optimization. I think, at least speaking for myself, it's a topic that I know I should know more about, but it can sometimes be off-puttingly technical. And from its earliest days, SEO has sometimes been tainted a little bit with these black hat types that did crazy things to get it done. But John Jantsch is the ultimate white hat kind of guy. And so I'm really excited to hear his insights about how we all as authors or entrepreneurs or consultants or anyone that has a business can take their business to the next level online by using these techniques. So John, really glad to have you.
Well, thanks for having me, Dorie. And you're right. It's funny. SEO was kind of the original online, technical thing when people started getting, we had websites and then we had to start getting those websites to rank before we really even had Google, as everything. I mean, we were still trying to get people to see our stuff, and SEO was the way that we got people to see our stuff. And in fact, it has spawned an entire industry where we had to go out and hire an SEO expert because that was like a mechanic. They'd open up the hood and they'd fix some things, and next thing you knew, the car ran great. And so that perception has really lingered, I think, with this idea. But SEO is really evolved, like everything online has evolved. The search engines have evolved. I mean, the way that we market completely has evolved. And I think SEO, rather than being a technical element or subset of marketing, has really almost become a channel, like social media, like content marketing, like PR, like advertising, and that marketers have to understand the power of SEO in an integrated sense, and as well as a web designer has to understand ways that that they design a site, or that the way that the content is architectured, that all plays a big role in SEO today.
That's fantastic. By the way, John, I'm hearing a little bit of crackling on your line. I'm not sure if it's maybe that your collar is catching on the microphone. So we can maybe experiment a little bit.
We'll see if that's a little better.
That's actually a lot better. So
okay,
thank you very much.
Too much starch in my shirt, I guess.
I know, right? That's why I'm avoiding the problem altogether today.
Yeah, well, I set you up for just a perfect metaphor there, but you let it go.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me start with this. I have heard some people say, John, that you don't really need to worry about SEO anymore. That some people say, you know what, Google has gotten so smart that, just don't think about it. Really, all you need to do is create targeted content. As long as you are organically using the keywords that you want to be known for, it will take care of itself. Now, is that true, or is that just wishful thinking?
Well, I think it's become more true to a point because we now all produce content. I mean, there was a day when we had 4 or 5 web pages and we had to optimize the heck out of those web pages because that's all the content we had on our website. Well, now people have thousands of blog posts that they might write. But I do think that what we have to understand is there certainly are some elements that or factors that come into that content ranking. We want to write for eyeballs because that's absolutely, what we're trying to do to add value to our business. But there are factors that come into play to, no matter how good that content is, how, Google is going to assign authority to, that person that wrote about, let's take SEO, for example. If I'm going to write about SEO, very, very competitive industry. Obviously, everybody out there has got like every ninja trick, right, to get their stuff to rank. So I'm going to have to focus very much on writing the most epic content possible, having the most people link to that content, certainly having the on-page elements of that content optimized to the nth degree, and finding lots of ways to send Google signals that this is the most authoritative content. Now, in some ways, somebody who has been online for 10 years and has thousands of articles and has huge, what they call domain authority, is going to outrank us for factors that are really beyond our control. But let's get away from SEO as the topic and just talk about that plumber or that remodeling contractor that's trying to get their content seen, particularly for local folks. I mean, today, if somebody goes looking for a local business, I mean, they want to find that business, call them, buy from them, go to their store, whatever it is, they're usually on their mobile device ready to do that thing. And so there certainly are factors that allow you to show up in the ways that, people with high intent are looking. And so it's not rocket science, but there are elements that I think come into play that you do have to manage and you have to work on, and in many cases is worth hiring somebody who can help you with those elements. But I think the biggest thing is, again, if we're looking at SEO not as a thing that some people do, some people don't do, but as a channel that has to be integrated with pretty much everything we do, then I think that I think it fits in its right place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, John, if I can use this as my excuse for free consulting here, I have not really paid a lot of attention to SEO myself, and I'm wondering, if someone is in a similar position to me, they have their own website, they have content on their website like blog posts or what have you. What are the things that we ought to be doing? What are the low-hanging fruit
Sure. Yeah.
that we can take advantage of?
Well, the first thing that, and you hear a lot of people talk about SEO, people talk about keyword research, and that's kind of one of the foundational steps. And really, I think that's become a foundational step for strategy today. I often talk about content being the voice of strategy. So if we have a certain point of view, we sell certain products and services, we have a certain way of doing things, we need to understand how our ideal client looks today and looks for that content, looks for that business, looks for that solution. And I think that the tools that are there today that actually show you, here are the questions people are asking. Here are the most popular terms when we're talking about fixing a leaky faucet. Here are the ways that people actually type into the search engines and at what volume. And so when it comes down to then trying to understand, okay, what should I write about? What content? I know I need to do content, that you actually have a framework of this is the content that's important for our type of business. But here's the exact way to maybe start talking about that content that matches up with what people search for and the actual words that they search. I'll give you an example. We had a remodeling contractor recently that wanted to write a post about, how do you know if it's right to stay in your home or move or remodel. That was it. Should I buy a new home or should I remodel? How do I factor that? And that's really an important conversation for somebody that is doing kind of upscale remodeling. And so they had written this great post. I can't remember the title they came up with, but it was really more about the factors in deciding if you should do. And we went out and looked a little bit, and we found that that in droves, people searched this exact phrase: should I remodel or move? And so that became the title of their post, because I believe, quite frankly, that post will rank now for essentially the same intent, but in the exact ways that people are going in and typing in their search engine. And so just understanding even that at a strategic level starts to inform not kind of the big, not only the big picture, like here are the themes we should be writing about, but here's the exact phrases we should be using and terms we should be using. Because a lot of times, as business owners, we get very enamored with our own language and with our own jargon, with our own industry ways that we talk about stuff. And when you do a little bit of research, you come to find out quite often that the general public, or even in a B2B environment, the buyer at the operations level, does not search the same technical terms that we want to optimize our content for. So, to really wind back to your original question about do we need to be doing SEO, a lot of ways I think the basics of good SEO are just basics of good content strategy.
That's fascinating. And so for people who are unfamiliar with how to do keyword research, John, what would be the first couple things you would suggest for them to learn how to do a light version of that?
Well, what I like to tell people to do is the first thing is brainstorm. I mean, you probably know some of the answers. Don't always think that this is something you have to turn to some tool or hire somebody. What are the things that people are asking you about? What are the main themes in your business? I mean, what I like to try to do is come up with like a dozen what we call, kind of foundational themes. And those might be keyword phrases. So like as a marketing consultant, referral marketing might be important to me. Advertising might be important to me. So those are kind of the buckets of themes that I'd want to fill up. So brainstorming is the first one. But then there are some great keyword tools out there. There's actually a tool called keyword.io. And there is a free version of that tool. And what I love about that is you type in a search term. You think, well, referral marketing, that's an important term for us, right? You type that into it, and it will actually, first off, it'll give you related searches. So it'll say, here's all, okay, referral marketing, here are all the related searches that people put in there. But what I love about it is there's also a tab that said, and here are the questions, the most frequently asked questions about referral marketing. And to me, one of the greatest content plays is answering questions because there's a really good chance that if you find those popular questions, there's a good chance that your prospects, your clients today are asking a lot of those same questions. So that's a great tool. And then, of course, the one that everyone probably is familiar with and turns to is the Google Keyword Planner. So it's a tool inside of Google AdWords that if you have a Google account, you can have an AdWords account, then they have that free tool because they want you to use it to buy more advertising, right? And the biggest thing that it helps you do is it helps you determine search volume. So let's say we're putting in those related terms. We're thinking, well, this is related, but is it very popular? And it'll rank kind of by actual search volume of some sort. And the other thing that it gives you, if we're going to get really geeky a little bit here, is it will start saying, and this is the suggested bid that you might have to use to win this if you were going to buy advertising. Now, of course, that's like the fox in the chicken house, of course, keeping the chicken house. But what it does do is it shows you some level of commercial intent. So what I mean by that is a word that maybe doesn't have that high a search volume might actually have a very high suggested bid, which to me often suggests then that a lot of people who optimize for that convert. that search term converts, and so that people want to pay a lot more for that to be seen for that, and so that can actually help you kind of balance volume with commercial intent. And I know that this maybe I've got people eyes rolling back in their head already with this, but it really is a matter of doing some brainstorming. Bring your whole team in on it because the service people and the sales people probably know some of the terms that you might not be thinking about. Kind of create your list of 10 to 20 and then go test those lists around using Keyword.io or using the Google Keyword Planner and try to get yourself about 10 or 12 themes or phrases that you are going to go to work on next year as part of your editorial calendar.
That's interesting. I love that, John. So let's say I've done this. I've picked 10 phrases that I really want to get known for. What I guess first of all, just if we're thinking about why people would want to do this. I mean, obviously, okay, you get seen higher in Google, but maybe you could talk a little bit about what the impact is. Like, why should I spend time thinking about SEO in the context of content creation or just on its own, as compared to the million other things that I could be doing to enhance my marketing?
Sure. Probably the biggest reason I love SEO in combination with content marketing is that, for the most part, if you work on this and you work on it consistently and over time, this is not a quick fix type of thing. But I think you have the ability to build an asset that can serve you for a very long time. I mean, depending on advertising in some cases, depending upon social networks, can be fleeting, can be costly. The rules change and all of a sudden, Facebook decides not to show your content to anyone anymore unless you buy advertising. But for the most part, a dozen or 24 blog posts, for example, that rank very highly for terms that are important for your industry. Like for me, marketing system, marketing consultant. Those I'm on page 1, have been for years. Those are important terms for my business. And I like to feel, again, I shouldn't say this, I'm getting ready to knock on wood. I like to feel that those are semi-bulletproof. I mean, that those, as long as you keep doing things, as long as you keep optimizing, as long as you keep up on producing more and more content around your themes, then you really do kind of lock the competition out in a way, or make it at least very expensive for them to play the game. And I think it's that asset building that's probably the most significant piece for me. And really, now if you look at local businesses in particular, again, the real estate is so limited, and in some cases their budgets for being on radio or billboards or things are outside of their reach. But showing up in that Google 3-pack, for example, which is the local results, will absolutely make the phone ring, and can in some cases be not that hard to do, because you might be in a business or an industry that's not that competitive, and so it can actually be one of the fastest and greatest returns on investment.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that's an excellent point. I mean, we all, famously in 2013 saw when Facebook changed its algorithm that things that people took for granted, that it's just, oh, this is the way things are.
Right.
When somebody else is controlling them, that's not necessarily going to always be the way things are. And businesses discovered that a lot of their content was getting pushed down. They would have to pay more money to get it seen. And so if you are able to create lasting content that gets linked to on Google or other search engines because of its quality, that is something that if not permanent, at least becomes something that's not going to go out of fashion.
Well, and some of the core practices of SEO, I just think play over so well to many other channels. So a lot of what good SEO research is doing is teaching you the content that people want and so in many ways, you're not just producing content that ranks, you're producing content that people find valuable and that answers the things that they're looking for, which hopefully consequently builds that trust that says, yeah, I need to hire you. You are also one of the core practices after keyword research is link building, and by that I mean other sites linking back to your content. Well, one of the, it used to be people would go out, you talked about the black hat, they'd go out and get in directories and shady places and they'd buy links, and all of a sudden you had all these links coming from Russia and India, nice places, I'm sure, but also places where Google, is very suspicious about the types of links. So one of the things that has changed dramatically in effective SEO today is that link building has become much more of a networking activity, which is also a tremendous activity for other elements of your business. And by that, I mean that instead of just buying links or going out and trying to get people to trade links, that you are actually finding other people's content that is great. You are contributing content in other places to get that link back to your site from that place that you contributed. So all of these things now are giving you exposure. They are helping you create better content that people want, and they are also contributing to the fact that now your authority and expertise is being raised by Google.
I think that's really insightful. So John, the question that comes to mind, for me, probably for a lot of people, it's not a short-term process. How long does it take to see results for something like this?
Yeah. So this is where I get to bring out my consultant answer. It depends. Now, it really, competitiveness is a huge factor. And by that, I mean the type of industry competitiveness. There certainly are local businesses in smaller niches that are maybe not traditionally or not have been traditionally online. You can rank in weeks or less for certain things. I mean, we have people that we work with to try to get them in the Google 3-pack that we can get it done in a week or two because they're just not in very their closest competitors have no reviews and none of the things that help you rank in the Google 3-pack.
Wow, John, by the way, would you mind moving the microphone just a bit again?
Do it again. Sorry. Boy, all these technical issues. I'm for those of you watching, I'm on the road. I'm not in my studio. So, but a marketing consultant, for example, really, really competitive. I mean, 80% of the crap out there is written by marketing consultants, right? So, it may take either time or a willingness to go into something very niche-y or very specific that is a subset of your very, very competitive industry.
Yeah, that seems like a really good point. Last major question for you, John. We had been talking about content creation from the ground up, inspired by keyword research. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, et cetera, someone who has a website who already has a significant amount of content, what can you do post facto to make that content more appealing from an SEO standpoint?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people, and this starts to get into the technical aspects, but a lot of people don't take advantage of the on-page signals that Google is looking for. So things like the metadata, and so the title tag and the description, the keywords being not only built in, but in your heading and in your subheadings and said a different way, and the length of your content. I mean, those types of factors, we start getting a little technical. But in some cases, those can be huge. There's so many people out there that have the title tag, which is an attribute that is, under the hood in the HTML. Nobody sees it except for search engine spiders or Google, that when they're crawling it. I can't tell you how many times I have found somebody's brilliant, copy heavy laden, awesome homepage that their title tag said homepage. And so, I mean, there are a lot of businesses that don't understand the importance of those types of signals. Now, you can't take somebody's site and make it rank because you changed maybe a couple words in their title tag necessarily, but doing a little bit of an audit of those types of on-page attributes is certainly something that any SEO professional would do. That, I mean, if the content's not there, it's not good, there's not much you can do about it, but you can certainly enhance it from an SEO standpoint with a little bit of focus on some of the on-page elements. And that's certainly, if somebody was going to come into an existing site, that is going to be an element that they're going to look at. Obviously, they're going to look at your link profile, meaning links linking back to your site. They're going to look at your overall website structure, perhaps. I mean, there are a lot of things that can, if your site loads very slowly, I mean, that could be a check mark against you. Google's got this list of 8,000 things, and we're trying to optimize for as many as we can. But that's that can in some cases actually be low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I like that. I totally lied. One last question based on something you just said. If someone wants to hire an SEO consultant, how do you separate the wheat from the chaff here?
Well, my biggest, and this isn't always, I mean, there could be some really great technical SEO people, just like there are some really great technical WordPress designers. If they are not asking you questions at a strategic level about your business, about where you're trying to go, about what other channels you're in, then, and they're only focusing on, we can get you so many links and we can get you, ranked on page one. And anybody who tells you they can get ranked on page one without asking you about what you actually do, run for the hills. Because if that, my original point about SEO being no longer about SEO, but about, an integrated strategy of content and social and even advertising, though all of those elements really are woven together, and any SEO consultant or any marketing consultant, frankly, that's not talking about the integration of those elements based on strategy, you should be a little bit nervous about.
Great point. John Jantsch, thank you so much. Please tell us, how and when can people find your book, and where should they go?
You betcha. So SEO for Growth, I have a co-author, Phil Singleton, who is one of those under the hood people that has been doing SEO his entire life. I'm just the pretty face in this case, but the SEOforgrowth.com is where you can find a lot of information, and we have a great bonus back, of course, with some of our other contributors in the book have contributed some great resources as well. And of course, the book, which goes on sale September 16th, depending upon when you're viewing or listening to this, will be available certainly online and in most major bookstores.
Wonderful. John, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Dorie. Great to chat with you.